They say that every witch child hears this story in childhood. A simple tale illustrated in children's books, as if it were just another fable. But few realize what it really carries. The story of the three brothers is not just a myth within the world of Harry Potter. It is, in fact, one of the darkest and most philosophical pillars of the entire saga. An allegory about power, about grief, and about the greatest mystery of all, death. It is said that three brothers were traveling down a deserted road at dusk. They were skilled wizards, masters of magic. When they came across a treacherous river, they crossed it with a simple spell. A solid bridge appeared over the deadly current. But when they reached the middle of the crossing, she appeared. Death. Not satisfied with having been deceived, she praised the brothers' boldness, and, with a crooked smile, offered each of them a gift. To the eldest, Death gave a wand made of elderberry, more powerful than any other, created to win any duel. To the second, he offers a magic stone, capable of bringing the dead back to life. And to the youngest, he gives a cloak of invisibility, so perfect that even Death himself could not see him under it. But, like every pact with Death, the gift comes at a price. The first brother, overcome by a thirst for power, is killed in his sleep, his wand stolen. The second, consumed by longing, revives the woman he loved, but she returns incomplete, cold, absent. Unable to bear the pain, he takes his own life. Only the third brother, who chose the cloak, lives a long life. And when he is finally ready, he gives the cloak to his son and departs with Death, like an old friend. That is the well-known version. But what does it really mean? What do the wand, the stone, and the cloak represent? Are they just magical artifacts or mirrors of the human soul? Today, we will look beyond the story. We'll decipher the symbols hidden in the Deathly Hallows, and understand why the story of the three brothers is not just a legend, but a dark metaphor about our choices, and about accepting the end. Because in the magical world of Harry Potter, death is not just a fate. It is a character. And how you deal with it defines who you are. The Deathly Hallows. To some, they are just three enchanted objects. To others, they are tools of power. But to those who see beyond the surface, they reveal a much older, much deeper truth. They are symbols. Mirrors of human weaknesses, desires, and fears. And each represents a different response to what we fear most, death. The Elder Wand is the most coveted. A promise of invincibility. An artifact that gives its bearer the power to dominate, conquer, and be feared. But that promise is a trap. It represents unbridled ego. The arrogance of the warrior who believes he is greater than death. The first brother does not desire it for self-defense, but out of vanity. And for that reason, he dies in his sleep, without ever wielding it again. The real enemy was not another wizard. It was his own illusion of invulnerability. The wand symbolizes what many of us seek: recognition, power, domination. But it also reveals the price of that desire: loneliness, paranoia, and the inevitable fall. The second relic is perhaps the most tragic. A stone capable of bringing back those we love. But it does not bring life. It brings only the shadow. The second brother, torn apart by the pain of loss, uses it to find his beloved again. But what returns is not her. It is an echo. A cruel reminder that death cannot be undone. He cannot let her go, nor live without her. And so, he chooses death as an escape. The stone represents attachment. The refusal to accept grief. The obsession with keeping the past alive, even if it destroys us. How often in life do we cling to ghosts? People, memories, old versions of ourselves. The stone does not revive the dead. It imprisons the living. The third relic seems the simplest. A cloak that makes its wearer invisible to death. But its true power lies precisely in how it is used. The third brother does not seek power. He does not try to manipulate fate. He simply chooses to walk among the living, protected but not arrogant. When his time comes, he hands the cloak to his son, and follows death like an old friend. He does not fear the end. He understands it. The cloak symbolizes wisdom, detachment, the awareness that death is not an enemy, but part of the journey. And so, the three Hallows offer three responses to death. Face it with violence. Deny it with attachment. Accept it with humility. These three responses are not unique to the wizarding world. They are archetypes. They are mirrors of the human condition. Within each of us, there is the warrior who wants to defeat death, the mourner who cannot let it go, and the wise man who learns to walk alongside it. The Hallows are more than relics. They are choices. And in the end, each character in the saga, in some way, chooses one of these paths. But, where did these symbols come from? Were they born solely from the imagination of an author? Or do they have roots in much older, darker, and universal myths? The first time we read the tale of the three brothers, it may seem like just that, a tale. But there is something about this story, familiar. As if we had heard it somewhere before. Because, deep down, we have. In medieval alchemy, ancient philosophers divided everything into three essences. Sulfur, the soul, fire, passion. Mercury, the spirit, instinct, the invisible. Salt, the body, matter, the weight of the world. These three elements form the basis of alchemical transformation. And if we look closely, we realize. The Elder Wand is sulfur, impulsive, dominant, destructive. The Resurrection Stone is salt, connected to the body, to flesh that does not return. The Invisibility Cloak is Mercury, subtle, elusive, connected to the spirit that cannot be captured. The Deathly Hallows can be read as instruments of soul transmutation, and Harry as the modern alchemist who must choose between dominating, reviving, or transcending. In Greek mythology, Hades offers three gifts. A helmet of invisibility to Persephone, a scepter of absolute power, and a ring that allows one to cross over into the world of the dead. Doesn't that sound familiar? In Christianity, we have the three gifts of God: wisdom, power, and eternal life. Three concepts that unfold symbolically throughout the Gospels, and also in the magical relics of Hogwarts. In the biblical myth of Cain and Abel, we see the archetype of the brother who defies divine rules and the price he pays for it. The three brothers in the story may represent this line of succession of humanity in the face of death, pride, pain, and acceptance. Joseph Campbell, in his study of universal myths, proposed that every hero goes through a journey divided into phases. Confrontation with the ego. Overcoming suffering. Return to the world with wisdom. These stages are reflected in the Deathly Hallows. The wand confronts the ego. The stone confronts attachment. The cloak leads to conscious return, to self-control. Nothing in Harry Potter is by chance. Rowling not only created a fantasy, but reconnected her story to ancient mythical structures. The Deathly Hallows are not just fiction. They are modern reinterpretations of ancestral archetypes, passed down from generation to generation through mythology, alchemy, religion, and now, pop literature. And it is precisely because they carry this ancestral symbolism, that the Hallows demand so much from those who possess them. But in the end, what does Harry do with them? Does he master them? Does he use them? Or does he abandon them for something greater? Throughout the entire saga, Harry does not seek the Deathly Hallows. He does not desire absolute power, and he knows that it is not possible to bring the dead back to life. Unlike the brothers in the legend, he does not try to escape death. But fate leads him to them. After defeating Voldemort, Harry becomes the true master of the Elder Wand. A less mature wizard might have kept it. He might have tested its limits, drunk with power. But not Harry. He does not use the Elder Wand. Instead, he decides that no one should possess such power. So, he breaks it in two and throws it off a bridge, ending its legacy. This choice symbolizes something profound. Power is only real when you don't need it to be who you are. Harry is not defined by what he possesses, but by what he chooses to give up. Before facing Voldemort in the Forbidden Forest, Harry finds the resurrection stone hidden inside the golden snitch. He holds it for a few moments. He sees his parents, Sirius, Lupin. But he doesn't touch them. He doesn't cling to them. He lets them go. And when he decides to die, Harry lets go of the stone and drops it on the forest floor. Never to be found again. The stone is a symbol of mourning. And Harry finally frees himself from his. He already had the cloak. From the beginning. Passed down from generation to generation in his family, it was part of him, but not an escape. Harry used it to hide, yes. But also to protect, investigate, survive. He never abused the cloak, never used it to run away from the truth. And in the end, he kept it, but not as a weapon. As a memento. As a legacy. In the end, Harry comes into contact with the three Hallows. But he never unites them. He never masters them. He refuses them. This is the essence of the forgotten legend. The true master of death is not the one who controls it. It is the one who no longer fears its arrival. He walks toward the end with his eyes open. Without resistance. And, because of that, he is reborn. Voldemort never understood this. Obsessed with immortality, with Horcruxes, with the Hallows, he represents the ultimate denial of death. But it was this refusal that destroyed him. Harry represents the opposite. He does not run away. He faces it, accepts it, and becomes, not immortal, but whole. In the end, Harry does not become a legend for using the Hallows. He becomes a legend for knowing when to leave them behind. Now let's reflect on what this story teaches us. Because maybe, the Deathly Hallows are also speaking to us. In the end, the Hallows remain. And only one of them remains with Harry. The cloak. But he had all three in his hands. And he let them go. This simple, silent gesture is the hidden climax of the entire saga. Because in a story marked by spells, battles, and deaths, the final victory is not in magic. It is in choice. The Elder Wand. The Resurrection Stone. The Cloak of Invisibility. 3 artifacts representing 3 paths. 3 ways to react to death. Face it. Deny it. Accept it. The story of Harry Potter could have followed all of these paths. But he chose the most difficult one, acceptance. And because of that, he won. Because, deep down, this isn't just a story about wizards, wands, and battles. It's a story about us. About the fear we all carry. About loss, attachment, pride. And about the courage to let go. All of us, at some point, come face to face with our own Deathly Hallows. Not in the form of magical objects, but in the form of choices. What do we do when we lose someone? When we feel pain? When we are tempted to dominate, control, run away? Do we try to resurrect what is already gone? Or do we desire absolute power over life, over others? Or, can we simply live? Understand? Move on? In modern culture, death is taboo. A monster to be avoided. A senseless tragedy. But in ancient myths, in ancient religions, in alchemy, death was not the end. It was transformation. A return. And sometimes, an encounter with something greater. Harry does not defeat death with spells. He defeats it by walking toward it, with his head held high. And in doing so, he shows us that true magic is not in avoiding death, but in understanding it. The Deathly Hallows are the philosophical heart of the Harry Potter saga. And perhaps, they are the most precious lesson left by this story. Because more than defeating villains or learning spells, Harry teaches us something that many spend their entire lives trying to learn. That sometimes the greatest strength is in letting go. In letting go. In accepting. And you? Which of these Hallows would you choose? The one that gives you power? The one that brings the past back? Or the one that protects you until the right moment to leave? Perhaps, that choice says more about you than you realize. If you like stories like this, where the fantastic meets the symbolic, and where each spell holds a deeper meaning, subscribe to the channel. Support this video by leaving your like and comment, and share it with someone who, like you, also loves this type of content. See you next time.